Okay, are we live? Well, not live, but you know, is it recording? I've got this all mounted up nicely. Got the cable just wrapped around there so it doesn't get tangled up, and the only thing that's plugged into this now is the white power cable. It's just a USB cable. So I'm going to show just a little bit over there. Alright. So let's power them up. There we go. It's ready. So this time I'll just unplug any cables just to show that it's a real test, and we're going to open up the app. So where are we? We go into our apps and loading in. Here we go. I think. Are we there? Maybe. There might be a connection issue. But that comes later on in the programming, is handling communication issues automatically. In this case, I know what's happened is when I sent the app to my headset just before beginning the recording, it auto-run. And so then when I turned this on, the app in the headset was already running. And the way it's set up at the moment, this has to be on and then you launch the app, otherwise it conflicts with the communications. But that'll be solved in the final product. So I'm turning it back on, waiting for this to confirm that it's on the Wi-Fi. Any second now. Maybe it was already sended. I'm just going to go ahead and hope that it's connected. We'll soon find out. Yes, here we go. Okay, right, so I am now looking through the camera and the delay isn't too bad, you know. That pulsing needs to be smoothed out. I know what that is. But smooth movements work pretty well. I can actually see my camera through the headset. That's not too bad. Yeah, the latency isn't too bad. Now this is quite obviously pulsing, but in the headset, it actually isn't that bad. Yeah. If I move too fast, I know I'm gonna overload the power, and I haven't got a capacitor on there yet, so it could brown out because it's pulling too much power. But yeah, that essentially works. Alright, well. So now all I have to do is add two more, which will be easier because it just needs up and down, and possibly the third part it doesn't really need, which is the tilting your head left and right. I mean, that might be a nice to have feature, but not really necessary for version 1 of the product. So yeah, I can look over on the right hand side, and then I'm looking at all the wires that I use for testing is just out of shot. Yeah, it's interesting because there is an obvious delay. Now when you're playing normal VR games, you're immersed really deeply into it. You feel like you're really there. This isn't meant to be that. This is meant to be you're panning a camera with your head, and there's sort of like an expected delay. And because of that, it doesn't make you feel sick. It doesn't give you vertigo. There's also a border that I've got around, so that sort of pulls you out of the immersion, which is kind of on purpose, to prevent that sickness feeling, which I'm definitely not getting here. So there was a bit of a delay then. In fact, it was almost like intermittent network. As a matter of fact, I'm probably still uploading the previous video, so it might be that my Wi-Fi is somewhat congested for the moment. But it's that's frozen there. Is it going to recover? That's the question. Yeah. No, that was a brownout because we've lost the video feed. So that was basically the power supply not being good enough here. So even though the electronics are programmed and working properly, the power supply is a separate thing. So my headset's still working. I can still quit out of the app. Brilliant. Not to waste my battery. It works. That's the thing. That is beyond proof of concept. It's actually a thing. So I'm kind of chuffed with that. I need to. I'll definitely have to work on a better power solution, because that's still just one servo. That's just left and right. The next one needs to be up and down. Zooming in and out is handled differently. It won't physically move closer towards the thing that you're looking at, but rather when the user moves forward, their viewport will be zoomed in. So you'll get a lot of pixelation because you're just stretching pixels wider. So there's that. The only way around that is to improve the camera itself, but the rig would be a similar setup. So there's a few different options for wireless transmission. Yeah, and a lot of them are already pre-made on the market, so I can just buy, for example, like a remote viewing security camera with a special protocol, which means you can connect to it remotely. So a product is already designed for remote viewing. There will be latency though, that's the only thing, thinking about it. There will be a big lag in between the image reach coming from the camera to the headset. And so far I'm not too bothered by the little bit of latency that's there. It works. I'm pretty chuffed with that. It'd be interesting to see if this will actually be helpful to anyone, ever, anywhere, even just one person. It doesn't matter if it is just one person who benefits from this kind of technology. Then it's worth the hours, days even, of coding, because that's the exciting part, is using tools that people think are really complicated, and they're not really. I mean, they can be if you're doing really complicated stuff like science things and extreme math, then it is really crazy. But this level of programming, it's the basics, dealing with very simple math. So yeah, if there's anyone who wants to give me some feedback, suggestions on this, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.